Hey, everybody. A little late. We're with you. Heartbreak in Qatar, including one of our own. Who's going to play the midfield for New York City at Philadelphia? I think that's an important question. How about MLS Apple TV? A breaking news story. We heard what was going on yesterday, and we're going to go through all of it. And Sportico broke some news regarding the 10-year deal, now only 6.5-year deal. And Mauricio Pochettino and the U.S. men's soccer team, they've got a game on Saturday. We'll go over that. Matt Freese, we expect him in goal. That's just touching a little bit on it here on NYCFC Views Live.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Oh, there we go. No games this weekend, but man, I've got more notes today, Roberto, than I have on any game week. It's
oh my
incredible.
God, look at you, well, prepared.
With the sport, but I'd like to kick off the broadcast by saying these just, it was good we were late because I got a chance to run upstairs and get my latest delivery.
Wow.
Gazelles. I love it. This is like the reemergence. You know how things come around. We're going to have Matty Lawrence on a little bit later, a clip I did with him and Sean Derry, where they talk about how the long throw used to be in vogue. Then it went out of style. Now it's back in style. So the Gazelle, I think I wore the Gazelles like in the 70s. I can't remember, but so I've got a new pair of Gazelles. So I'm very
congratulations.
Yeah.
They look very cool.
I don't get too excited about shoes, but the Gazelles were my favorites. So there they are. That and Sambas and Copas.
I've had Sambas. I've had Sambas.
But Copas is where the boots you played soccer in the 70s and 80s. That's what you played in with Copas. And all right, well, look, the weather has changed in the Northeast. I just want to show these two contrasting photos from training at Orangeburg. The first will be Maxi Morales, the second Micha Ilinic. There's Maxi. Now he's Argentinian. He looks miserable. So this is just a few days ago. That day it snowed north of us here in Jersey anyway, and they got a lot of snow in Canada. If you saw the CPL final,
that was crazy.
That was unbelievable. And then Micha Ilinic, he's Slovenian. He's a little bit more. Look, he's having a blast in the snow. See that? So just contrasting. I'm not.
It's like when you let a husky out in the snow. That's basically what happens.
So Maxi, maybe he actually had just gotten the news that he got fined by MLS for.
He can afford it.
For grabbing the neck, looked like he was trying to get Ashley Westwood a little closer to him so he could speak more clearly about a certain foul that was called during the run of play. Anyway, so Maxi got the hand. It was called the violating league's policy regarding hands to the face, head, neck of an opponent. Game 3 at Charlotte, and those are usually hefty fines. But yeah, you can afford it. What the heck? Little contribution to MLS, who will not be making quite as much money on this Apple TV deal as originally thought. We just learned that today, Roberto. I had that saved for the Kicking It Around segment, but let's just introduce it briefly and then get into the depths of what we learned yesterday. But Sportico, which is a sporting business news group, there's several of them. I follow them pretty closely, and they broke the story this afternoon. Are you reading it?
No, I'm looking at something else that we're going to have to talk about. I'm trying to there's a story about Alonso Martínez being hurt. Oh. And so I just got wind of this.
All right, let's get to that next then. Let me finish.
So finish this off while I read this and make sense of all of it, because sometimes they make a huge deal about it, and then it turns out, that it's not much. I just want to make sure that everything is okay. So please go on, and I'm reading up, but I'm listening too at the same time.
Well, here's the headline from Sportico. Apple MLS deal will end in 2029. Now, the 10-year deal was supposed to end 3 years later, more than 3 years later, and there's a revised payment structure. The essence of it is now a 6.5-year deal, and it will average what they were supposed to get every year, $250 million over the 10 years. And there'll also be a payout of $107 million for, once we get to the revised schedule, there's going to be a mini season at the beginning of 2027, a 14-game season, so that they can change the calendar to the FIFA calendar beginning in 2027, July of 2027. So the breaking news is that the 10-year contract's only going to be 6.5 years. And what this story suggests is that MLS executives will now be able to test the media rights market more clearly after the 2026 World Cup. So,
which could mean that Apple can get back in. So let's remember that Apple is trying to do more sports. They started with Major League Baseball and having basically something to the effect of a game of the week. Then they went all in on MLS, and they've, it's like every game is on there. And now they've changed it and tweaked it and just put it on Apple TV. So MLS Season Pass is now gone. And anybody who's a season ticket holder is going to get Apple TV, which is great, which now means that I don't have to pay for Apple TV anymore. So it's going to save me $100
for 1 year. For 1 year.
It's going to be like this until this ends, because they've done this every year now. I would presume that people who have T-Mobile will continue to get the deal, but that's just, there's no confirmation on that, but they'll probably get the same deal. So anybody who has T-Mobile as their phone will probably continue to receive this. And
here's the thing I want to throw at you, because you said, well, Apple TV could hop back into the negotiations.
Yes.
One caveat here, as part, and I don't know if you read into this at all, as part of the revised agreement that was made today, or whenever it was made, the story was broken today by Sportico. As part of the revised agreement, Apple is also giving up its option to terminate the deal after the 2027 season, according to the source.
So that's good. So that means that they're because there was an out for the league and there was an out for Apple. And so now that they've decided, well, okay, let's not go out, let's figure this out. And now they decide, okay, we're guaranteed now through 2029, when either of them could have opted out in 2027. Now we're going to go to 2029. And after that, then we'll see what happens. And so it will probably be, I don't know if they have a right to first refusal as far as the deal, because nobody has written about this yet. So they may include that into the contract, which is normal standard procedure, that they would have an exclusive window to be able to negotiate. We don't know if they have that or not, but that normally is what happens. And then after that, we'll see, who else is going to bid. I believe steadfastly that as long as MLS is with Apple, they have to go back and have certain games that are on Fox, that are on ESPN and ESPN Deportes, Fox Deportes, which are on now. But come back to ESPN and ESPN Deportes, come back to either Univision or Telemundo and have a game there, an exclusive game once a week. You've got 15 games every weekend, have 12 games on Apple, and then one game on Fox, one game on ESPN, and then one game's on either Univision, TUDN, or Telemundo. And do that, and because they need to be able to make it wide, they have to go back and be, back on standard TV to get games known. And then there has to be a provision that they have to be able to promote these things. So, like, for instance, ever since the Apple TV deal was signed, Fox stayed on. And Fox has had a game, like over 30 games a year, where they've been either on Fox or FS1 and all on Fox Deportes. Fox never tells you about these games. They present them in a vacuum. I mean, because I've watched other Fox programming. I've watched between when they had SmackDown, which is WWE. I've watched college football. I watch NFL. And they promote all their other sports programs. You never hear a word about MLS. Never hear a word about MLS. And that's wrong. And if you're going to be a partner, right, and all these contracts are partnerships, then be a partner that promotes this stuff. And they haven't done that. And I think it's important for MLS to find a way to get it into the contract. You're going to be a partner on this, and you've got to commit resources to promoting this, to make it grow, because that's the reason we're on with you. To make it grow, not just to fill in, a Saturday afternoon that if you don't put us on, then you're going to be selling it to some diet doctor who's going to have an infomercial for 2 hours.
Okay. Eddie Q. Apple in 2023. When we do this right, I'd like this to be forever. So that was the initial comment.
Well, they still have a chance to do that, by the way. That doesn't change.
Well, I think I'm reading into this 2027 giving up that option to terminate the deal then in a different way. It's almost like, okay, we won't do that, but we're ending it in 29, and that's that.
But they could have just walked away. If everything was as crappy as the detractors would like you to believe, Apple would just walk away in 2027 and not do this deal. If they were just getting killed on this, they could just as easily, and not just as easily, very easily, said, according to the contract, send you a letter.
Why put it in the contract
and say
we're talking
done.
too much about this?
They could have walked away in 2027. That's that. Thank you very much. It didn't work out.
Why is it in the revised contract then?
It's what are you talking about in the revised contract? They said that they waived their right to end it in 2027, meaning that they're together until 2029, no matter what.
Okay, I don't want to talk about it anymore. But
that's what it means.
No, you have a good feel for this stuff, but I think we've taken it to a level where we're going to miss out on some things we got to talk about tonight. We're not going to be on as long as we normally are. So the thrust of this is that the deal that was 10 years is 6.5 years. Roberto is suggesting that's not a done deal because Apple could go back into the negotiations for the media rights, and which I suppose is anybody's right to re-up.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens. For me, it suggests it's done in 29. It's done. That's the way I read it. But I'm not in the meetings,
and it can't. And that's not a bad read. What I'm just saying is that let's say that the numbers get better after the World Cup and everything, because they're going 3 years after the World Cup, and all of a sudden, let's say, what is Don Garber saying? 300,000 people are watching every weekend or something like that. I forget what the number was. If anybody has that number, just put it down here in the comments. Right? Let's say that doubles. Apple might say, all right, we're back in to see what's going to happen. And obviously, they're going to be able to be open to negotiate with everybody. But Apple may be a very interested partner again to be able to continue.
Yeah. Let's be clear. The numbers are still nebulous. But that number was thrown out. And it also encompasses, every TikTok or all the different aspects of it. I'm not being negative about it. I think the positive here is that you can go into a bar now. A lot of bars have Apple TV now, and you can sit down and ask them to put the MLS game on. You can't do that today. You can't do it. Or, you can now because I guess the playoffs aren't
the playoffs are all on Apple TV. You don't need MLS Season Pass anymore.
Well, look, let's stick with Apple TV. We are going to talk about the U17 World Cup because it involved a young man with the New York City Football Club. We are going to talk about and just to briefly review the great Game 3, which we haven't had a chance to chat about since it occurred for New York City in Charlotte. A little preview for Philadelphia. We'll be on again next week where we can really dig into it a lot deeper. And maybe a little Matt Freeze with the U.S. men's national team. So the big news yesterday, and I think I like it. for a lot of different aspects. But the biggest part of this, of course, is the calendar change starting in July, ending in May. And then if we went back and pulled a clip from you when we first started talking about this, Roberto, you were not in favor of it because of the cold weather issues with certain pockets. And what's interesting is this is because Don Garber yesterday talked about solidarity. So here's Toronto FC, certainly one of the areas we would be concerned with, right?
Yes.
So this is, they put out their own little release where, see, they put out their own. And
very good.
Says, part of it says, to be sure, the calendar change discussion raised challenges related to the weather for a number of the league's most northern-based teams, yes, including us. But we are confident in the efforts that have been made and will remain a priority for the entire league to address it. So Toronto putting that out to make sure everybody knows they're on board. New England, same thing. They said, here's the New England release. They said, we also appreciate the league's proactive steps to minimize the impact of this transition on cold weather markets like New England, where seasonal climates can significantly affect the matchday experience. Revs fans can be confident that more than 90% of the league's games will fall within today's current MLS footprint. That was the big part of Don Garber's chat yesterday. And additionally, the league schedule will minimize the number of home games the Revs play in the winter by having us on the road both before and after the winter break. And so the idea is, look, MLS has to deal with November and February only. And that really is kind of like 5 weeks, because you're going to start the weekend after the Super Bowl at the very earliest in February. There's no chance they're going to kick it off on Super Bowl weekend. So I'm thinking maybe the week after. When does the Pro Bowl play? Is that played the week after?
There's no more Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl isn't played anymore. It's
good.
Now,
stupid game.
It's a series of events and they have flag football and stuff, but the Pro Bowl isn't a game anymore.
Okay, that's enough. So is that in Hawaii or not?
No, that hasn't been in Hawaii for years. It's been mostly in Orlando.
Free trip to Hawaii. These boys love
it. That was great. Yeah, but the stadium there was falling apart. They're redoing the stadium. I don't know if they finished it or not, but they're redoing the Hula Bowl. So that was being refurbished.
So Don Garber was asked if there were any reservations among those sorts of owners that are in those climates like Toronto and New England. And his message was, this group is together. They're working as a unit to do what's best for the league. And look, I think every aspect of what was said yesterday has a positive twist to it. I don't want to hear about the solidarity. I want to hear that one of the reasons we're doing this is because the owners suspect they're going to make more money in the long run, or they wouldn't do it.
Well, of course. And the big money difference is going to become in transfer windows.
Right. Exactly.
And that's going to be the deal. It may cost them less money to buy players, and maybe they can sell players at a higher rate, because let's say, I don't think teams really like to do this unless they get an offer that they can't refuse. Nobody likes to transfer out their top player in the middle of the summer, when the European calendar starts, like New York City had to do with Tati Castellanos, right? You get rid of your best player. That doesn't send a very good message to the fan base.
Well, let's just give other examples. Patrick Kajamon, right?
Exactly. You could go through this all the way through. Plus, also, a lot of the transfers come in the middle of the summer. And how long does it take players to get into shape and get into rhythm with their teams? There are not that many players that have been able to succeed, jumping right off a plane, unless your name's Son.
A high majority of summer transfers, at least in my time doing these games with you, a high majority have struggled to settle in. And they only have, I just remember Burke Risa came in and he finally kind of found his way, played the last 8 games of 2023. He was very good. And there was and that's when Matt Freese was playing too, but he hadn't transferred in. He just had to eventually beat out Luis Barraza. But, he didn't have there wasn't a chance for him to impact the team in a way where they could maybe qualify for the playoffs, because the last 8 games they played were very good. And he was a part of it. That year, he was very much a part of how they ended the season well. So also,
as far as the winter break, I mean, they've been talking about that there was going to be a winter break forever, that it was going to be somewhere in December and it was going to come back in February. It looks like that instead of starting as a season normally starts in the last week of February, right, it's going to start maybe a week earlier. So that'll be like right after the Super Bowl. Yeah. So that's what you're going to wind up having. And a lot of those games are going to be in warm climates up until March. And then little by little, you'll start seeing games in DC, in New York. A lot of people have been writing me on X or Twitter that, is New York City Stadium, which is Etihad Park, is it going to be ready in February? And the way things are going, there's a very good chance it could be ready in February, but they're not going to play there in February because New York City normally doesn't play any home games until March. In every season that New York City has started since they were born in 2015, they've been on the road either the first 2 games or at least the first game.
Well, if you're talking about,
and we're going to do that again.
No, well, you're talking about the mini season now, and that mini season, 14 games, is not going to be played at Etihad Park. I'm pretty sure we've been told that that's going to be a Citi Field Yankee Stadium deal. That mini.
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that at all. I remember what I would be shocked if Etihad Park is ready March 2027. They're playing there in March 2020. They're not going to spend over $1 million to play at Yankee Stadium or Citi Field when they've got their own field there. That is their biggest expense right now.
Well, we were in a conversation with the CEO and president
and I didn't get that impression. I was in that conversation.
It wasn't an impression. It was a statement.
I'll have to ask Brad Simpson. Maybe I misunderstood then.
I'm not saying it's still in effect. I'm saying that's a few months ago. But what came about the conversation was if they were to switch in 27, that there would be this mini season. He told us that specifically.
Yes. I remember.
And it sounded like to me that they would wait to open Etihad Park in the full brand new season and would also give them time to be 100% certain that every aspect of the stadium is prepared. So I'm not sure where you were.
That part I was right there. That part, I did not get that impression at all. And knowing the way things are, where it's $1 million north or south of $1 million in Yankee Stadium and at Citi Field, if you're playing another 7 games at home plus playoffs possibility, you're not spending another $7 million, right, when you have your stadium right there that you can actually make money on, right, because they get all the concessions, everything else. Well, I don't know if they get a cut of parking.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'll make a bet with you. I'll make a bet. I'll bet you dinner. Okay. I'll bet you dinner that if there's that mini season in 2027.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you going to bet me that no games at all will be played at Yankee or City in that mini season?
No, I'm saying that the minute that Etihad Park is ready, they play.
All right. I'll bet you.
All right. Well, everybody here has got it. Everybody here's a witness.
Let's see. We got a lot of comments, man. So we might as well.
Oh, hell yeah. There you go. Put Kevin up.
No, do not put the one that says I'm with Roberto.
Yes, you do.
Screw that.
Come on.
Every MLS team needs a
Look, there's one that's with Glenn.
Leave them both down. But let's continue. But now so the calendar is going to change. There's going to be a mini season. We're not sure where New York City's playing their home games yet for the mini season. But and how much interest there'll be in this mini season, who knows? I think the marketing department has some. They've got some creativity or creative. I'm not coming up with the right words. They better be very creative during that period of time. I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah, they will. I'm sure they will be. I'm sure they will. There's a lot of talented people there. So I believe they will be.
So let's see. We've talked about transfer market, player signings.
We gotta go. We gotta go to the important news right now. I'm gonna.
Oh no, you can break in. Yeah, break in. Go ahead.
Okay, so Alonso Martínez played the 90 minutes for Costa Rica in their loss to Haiti, 1-0. They played the game in Curaçao, and they still, it's not a road game. I mean, it's a neutral site game, and they still couldn't win. They've been terrible. But he left the game with something in his knee that was bothering him. And according to Kevin Jimenez, who's a news reporter in Costa Rica, that he's going to be coming home and that he's going to be examined here. So they're not expecting him to play in the next game, which is at Estadio Nacional, and that's a big loss. They play against Honduras.
They're in a tough
and that's
shape.
going to be next Tuesday.
They're in tough shape. They have to win.
They're in impossible shape.
No, it's not impossible because depending on those results, if both those results go their way, then they will finish second, and then they need to be the best second place team, which will be determined by results in another group.
Yeah, but the thing is that Haiti at home or wherever they play is got to play Nicaragua. Although Nicaragua beat Honduras, they were, they're not exactly a strong team. Haiti has proven to be a much stronger team than all of them, and then they got to win at home.
Well, I watched. I didn't see him taken out of the game. I watched through an early portion of the second half.
He wasn't taken out. He played the entire 90 minutes.
Okay, so in the first half, he had an excellent opportunity, and there was a near post save. And it was what was very interesting about it. And I was trying to find a clip today to show because this is what's wrong with the game. He was fouled in the area, but he worked so hard to keep his balance, and he got the shot off unbalanced with a lot of velocity, but it was at the height of the keeper's hands, and I think he probably would have gone low to the back post if he had good balance. So if anybody wants to go back and I'll try to find the clip and bring it back for the next show, because what bothers me is that if he went down,
he gets a penalty kick, most likely.
It was probably going to be a penalty. He doesn't go down, and the shot is saved, and it's just a corner kick, and the referee doesn't even consider it a penalty. If it's a foul, it's a foul whether you go down or not. And what it does is it encourages dives in the area. Yep. It encourages getting just touched slightly and then flopping in the area, and it really bothered me from that standpoint, not just because it's a New York City player and I'm a big Alonso Martínez fan, but that's important news, Roberto. So we'll do our best to see if indeed he is back in town and seeing the doctor. But boy, I'll tell you what, you've already got Aiden O'Neill and Andres Pereira heart out. The spine, right? That's a pretty big part of the spine. And then if Alonso Martínez is added to that will make things very, very, very difficult in Philadelphia. It already is right now.
No, for sure. And so what's going to wind up happening? I mean, we've seen this team enough to know what they're going to do. And it's, I'm not giving Bradley Carnell any, anything that he doesn't figure out himself. And that is Justin Hack is moving up from defense to midfield. He's going to play with Johnny Shore. And then you're going to have Raul Gustavo playing next to Martínez.
Well, You think so? That's it. There's no other way to do it. Is that what you're saying?
No, there is, but I think that's the most likely scenario.
So catch this. I'm glad you brought this up because I think this is a very important discussion. We probably should do it a little bit more next week. But
we can revisit it.
I really dove my brain into this. So when there was a substitute late in the Charlotte game. It was not that late. It was when Pereira was taken out with the injury. Who went into midfield? Kevin O'Toole.
Yeah.
Who went to left back? Raul Gustavo. Who stayed in central defense? Justin Hack. I will tell you right now, Roberto, New York City is not in this game in Philadelphia without Justin Hack playing central defense for the New York City Football Club in Game 3. The number of block shots that he had was remarkable. There were 7 block shots in all. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good time to play Matt Free's postgame talking about just this, but also another block which led to the game-winning goal. And you'll hear it on our commentary, and we'll get to Roberto's call of a goal as well. But play this one, Shane.
like, I don't know how many blocks Justin had in the first 10 minutes. It was probably 2 or 3. And then, even towards the end of the game, Aiden gets the block that leads to our second goal.
So Charlotte electing to change the angle a bit off this corner. And another shot blocked. And this time it's Maxi Morales. He'll chest it down. And now he'll play it ahead to Alonso Martinez. Can he beat Nathan Byrne to the ball? Yes, it's on his left. And the shot, and it's 2-0 New York City. Alonso Martinez from Maxi Morales. Wilfred Zaha, he's been frustrated tonight. And he's all by his lonesome, still in the New York City end. After that shot was blocked, Maxi Morales chested it down, immediately found Alonso Martinez behind the defense. He was quicker than Byrne. It was on the left side. That's not his favored side, but he managed to get it past Kalina to give New York City a 2-goal lead in the second half of Game 3.
Philadelphia presses high, man-to-man.
Yeah.
Breakaways are possible, and they're going to be a lot less likely if Alonso Martinez is hurt.
Yes, that's 100%. I was looking up Justin Hack's stats. He had 3 blocks for the game, 4 clearances, 3 headed clearances, 2 interceptions, 5 recoveries, and he was dribbled past only once. And he won 2 out of 3 ground duels, and he was fouled 1 time.
So
he had a very good rating for FOTMob, nice and green, 7.2.
Well, hear me out on this. I think Pascal Janssen is going to be very, very, very reluctant to take Justin Hack out of the back. So let's just say he's fighting this. I can't take this kid out of the back. He's too valuable because of all the things you just said and how good he is in the air. Raul Gustavo, very good in the air. Probably not quite in that same ballpark as Hack in terms of blocking the shots. He's got a good mentality, but I just feel like Hack has more of an appetite. How about this? Gustavo at left, Hack, Martínez, and then Tavon Gray. And the reason I say maybe you stick with it this way and then put O'Toole back in the midfield with our boy Shore. Johnny Shore has to come back into the team. But the reason you do it is because Philadelphia is a service team, especially from their fullbacks, and especially from the left side, Kai Wagner. So the ability to have headed clearances. So Raul Gustavo in there instead of Kevin O'Toole, that's better for headed clearances off of services. And O'Toole can get it done, man. Yeah, go ahead.
I look at it differently. I see your point, by the way. I see your point. My thing is that I don't know if you really want to make all those changes. There's so many changes that you've got to do to get that accomplished. I would say this. Let me finish. I would say this.
There aren't that many changes, but go ahead.
I put Gustavo in central defense.
That's one thing.
I'd keep O'Toole where he is. I'm putting Hack as a 6 and Shore as an 8. And so that way Hack, as always seems to happen, he's able to drift back into the middle of the defense. You can send, if you want, your 2 wide players, O'Toole and Gray up if you want, right? And then Hack slides in the middle, and then you've got the 3 guys as your central defense. And so I would keep Hack there, and then you can have Johnny Shore going more offensively. And then if you need for Hack to go up because you're trailing or something, then you do that. But if you keep him as a stay-at-home 6 in front of then you're minimizing all the changes around the team. And I think it's a position that he's played.
There aren't that many changes. O'Toole is still playing. He's moving into an inverted position.
But you're playing him in a different position.
He's been there before, and he's been there in the run of play. It's not that different for him, okay? Johnny Shore, that's a big moment for him, but you get the sense that he'll be able to handle it based on how he handled the early part of the season. But you're leaving Hack, so you're keeping your defense pretty much the same. Gustavo going to left back, he's been there. That'll be his 4th game as a left back.
Okay.
Out of 9 he's played. I mean, so I don't know. But I think it's a really interesting debate and discussion as to what will be best. My fear of the thing you said about Hack, and yeah, he drops into the line. It could very well be that and work well, is that I could see New York City on their heels. And if they're on their heels at Subaru Park, they escaped the first 20 minutes at Charlotte. I don't know if they can do it again.
Yeah. Can you put up Corey's latest comment, please? Because it's directly with this.
Sure.
All right. So how about Maxi and Shore at the 6, Nico at the 10, Hack and Gustavo 3-man back line? I get it. The thing that I worry about is that 38-year-old Maxi Morales being able to keep up with some of the guys defensively. That's what I worry about. Does he have the pace to be able to keep up with some of them? I was thinking, because Maxi has played the 6, he played it with Nick. So it's not something unusual for him, although it's been a few years. But it's a situation that I don't think I want to give him that sort of defensive responsibility.
Yeah, because it's one of their key players is this guy Lukic, who's really a good player, the midfielder. And Jean-Jacques is, he's a good player as well. But Lukic in particular, just the focus on him, you really, and maybe that's where Hack comes in, where because of his defensive ability, he can take better care of Lukic, midfielder to midfielder. I don't know. Corey, good stuff, because we have seen Maxi there, and you could see him kind of being in the pivot and spraying the ball around a little bit as a 6. And Shore can do all the dirty work around him, which, that's what the youngsters should do with the 38-year-old.
And by the way, if Martínez can't go, then that they're going to put Fernández Mercado at the 9.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to go in, and then you're going to see Ojeda start on the right side, Wolf on the left.
Yeah, that's the likely that is definitely the likely scenario.
And now you got Fernández Mercado, who's scoring goals, and he's scoring. And look, all 3 goals were on counterattacks. And he finished off his very, very well. The first one is like from a ridiculous angle.
We have to give him credit for the ability to run him behind. And here's Roberto Abramowitz, along with Ariel Hudas, calling and commenting on the very first goal for New York City, the opening goal, which came in the 3rd minute of first half stoppage time.
Pero aquí viene el centro y corta Perea de cabeza, la pelea Martínez. Martínez se lleva a Ream y ahora va a la media cancha. Es un 2 contra 1, perdón, es Fernández Mercado. Fernández Mercado espera, ahora arranca, se mete, viene la barrida, viene el tiro, ¡gol! ¡Gol! ¡Gol de New York City! Gol de Nicolás Fernández Mercado y New York City está arriba 1-0. ¡Qué contragolpe mortal de los celestes!
Pero qué golazo que acaba de hacer Fernández Mercado. Una jugada, otra vez vamos a usar el mismo recurso, maradoniana. Una jugada en la que Fernández Mercado fue con la pelota dominada durante media cancha hasta llegar al arco de Charlotte y anota casi sin interferencia. Un gol increíble de Fernández Mercado. Gol de crack absoluto de Fernández Mercado.
Ayuda mucho en la jugada Martínez, porque Martínez se pone en una muy buena posición y la defensa lo tiene que tomar en cuenta. Y luego se termina llevando a Bird, que se va esperando el tiro, pero aguanta con gran paciencia y en un ángulo difícil desde el lado derecho al segundo poste. Lo pone y New York City está adelante en el marcador 1-0.
I'll tell you what, if I were Dean Smith, I would be calling the team in, give him one day off, bring him back in to do work on corner kicks and set pieces.
And defending off of them. It's crazy. I mean, Corey mentioned it as well, right? All 3 New York goals came off set pieces. And you think Bradley Carnell is going to be working on Philadelphia with that?
Well, I think that is a cardinal sin in our sport, is to give up counterattack goals on your own set piece deep in the opponent's end. Some call it rest defense, whatever you are, or you part of your organization for any set piece you take in the opponent's end is how you're going to deal with the inevitable, which is a counterattack. So that is unforgivable. And I know that Dean Smith and staff were – I know there were some feelings about that after the game. And
they were upset at the fact that they gave up 3 goals on 3 set pieces. They were upset. And it wasn't like they weren't expecting it, that New York City was going to run out on the counter. I mean, that they practiced it, and they still didn't work.
Yeah. Well, the just to review what Roberto plucked out off of social media from a sports writer in Costa Rica is that Alonso Martínez had a little knee issue, played 90 minutes in that World Cup qualifier against Haiti, which Costa Rica lost. And that, according to the report, he is back in New York to get examined by the doctors here. And we may not find out till next week when we get up there for training. But if we hear anything, we'll certainly put it up.
That's right. I mean, and now, obviously, the New York City, if it knows what it knows, it's, it's not going to say anything until they have to.
And that
because
goal
is a playoff game, so they got to keep Philly wondering who's playing.
And the Union trying to be the 9th team to win the Shield and the Cup, just the 19th. I say, that's the teams that win the Shield don't normally go on and win MLS Cup.
What is it? 8? Only 8 Shield winners, I believe that's a stat.
Well, they'll be the 9th if they do it.
Yeah. Okay.
The Union will be the 9th if they do it. And I'll play this now. I'll save this for next week because one thing we know about the Union is their long throws from either the right or the left. And in my on my Sirius XM show, I had my broadcast partner Matty Lawrence and Sean Derry. They were teammates at Crystal Palace, but we brought up the long throw topic with those two boys now that it's back in vogue, just like my Gazelles back in vogue. And so anyway, I'll save that for next week because it was very interesting to hear what they had to say. Let's kick it around before we get out of here.
Yep.
All right. So tough moment for Maximo Carrizo and the U.S. U17s who had a 1-0 lead in the round of 32 match. That's a knockout match against Morocco. It was a great game, Roberto. I was able to watch it from start to finish. I feel fortunate that I could. Maximo Carrizo, who has captained the team along the way, did not start. He captained the U.S. in their 1-0 win over Czechia, which helped them win the group. It was the first time in 34 years that the U.S. went unbeaten in the group stage. They were undefeated. They were 3-0 in the group stage. Carrizo did not start today, and a goal was scored by Morocco in the 90th minute to make it 1-1, and then it went to penalties, and Carrizo was the 5th and final taker for the U.S., and he had his penalties saved. So a very difficult moment for the young man. These are the moments that help you grow. So it's very disappointing. It is heartbreaking, but at the same time, eventually this will help him in future endeavors in the game because those are moments that, it either works or it doesn't. And in this particular instance, the goalkeeper, who, by the way, pretty much saved the day for Morocco throughout the match, and had a couple of saves in the shootout in addition to the Carrizo. He also, I had this written down somewhere, he also had another save against one of the other, I can't remember who had his penalty saved. But so that's that's the way it ended for the U.S. today in the round of 32.
It's such a shame. They're a good team, and it always seems, and we'll see what Morocco does, but it always seems the teams that eliminate the U.S. wind up going and winning the tournament. well, it happened with the U20s.
If anybody beats Portugal, that'll be the team to really watch. Portugal, I watched Portugal beat Morocco in the group stage, Roberto, 4-0. And I mean, it could have been, it's one of those games where it could have been 7 or 8. That's how That's how good it was. And Cooper Sanchez, the Atlanta product, was the other U.S. player who had his penalty saved in the shootout. But again, the Moroccan keeper was fantastic. And so we'll see how it goes from here. But the competition is very good. It's in Qatar on perfectly manicured fields, so the setting is really good. And there were chants of USA throughout the game. So, and there was also whistles when they had the ball. So Morocco had a pretty good contingent. It's a little closer travel for them to get to Qatar than it is for those from the States. And so that was the U17 World Cup. That's all I have to say about that. Is I kind of went out of order. Matt Freese, you and I are going to be, we would assume, watching him in goal tomorrow night for the U.S. against Paraguay at Subaru Park.
Tomorrow afternoon, actually. Game's at 5.
Right? Yeah, game's at 5. Good. I'm happy because we're driving home at the end and get home a little sooner. But anyway, hopefully Freese will be in there so we get a chance to see him. And he has started 10 straight for the U.S. men. He has 11 caps. They've all come since June. It's just such a remarkable story of how he showed up in Pochettino's camp, and that's it.
Now that's all you need is a chance and to perform, and he's done that. He hasn't been perfect. Remember, there was one goal that was on him on a bad clearance, and during the Gold Cup, but he recovered from it, and that's what you want to see. You've got to have amnesia when it comes to these sort of things, and you make a mistake. Yeah, you make a mistake, you forget about it, you learn from it, and you go. And he's been able to do that. He's got the perfect mentality for that. The other goalkeepers that were called in were Roman Salentano, Jonathan Klinsmann, who's playing in Italy with Cesena, and Patrick Schulte. Matt Turner was not called in. And New England is sort of like makes you go,
Well, especially since New England has been eliminated from any sort of postseason. No, there's more than a whom there. I mean, you'd have to say the days of Matt Turner, at least under Mauricio Pochettino and the summer of 26, probably have ended. Let's hear from Matt Freese. He was part of one of the pressers this week. He's going to play, we would assume, back. He has played games before Subaru Park, including the 2021 Eastern Conference Final when he replaced Andre Blake, who had COVID, going up against the New York City Football Club. But now he plays for New York City, going to Subaru Park. Here are some reflections from Matt Freese.
Feels great to be in Philly, obviously. Definitely looking forward to the game this Saturday. Like you mentioned, probably some differing fan experiences from my end. But I love playing here. I'm sure it's going to be a great atmosphere on Saturday. I was at the game, I think it was 2019 when the U.S. played here. I was watching that game in the stands as well. So definitely excited to be on the field for this one. It's a huge honor anytime I get called up. After the first one, I kind of thought, all right, it's never gonna be this exciting again. But somehow every time it's just as exciting. It's just as big of an honor. And so very thankful to get called in a bunch this year. But as far as reflecting, it's been an exciting year and a year with a lot of opportunity and growth. But there's more in my sights. I want to continue to push and continue to accomplish different goals that I have. And so I've said this before, but until I'm 40 or 41 and I hang up the boots, I'm not planning on reflecting too much.
All right. And will all that be in a New York City uniform? By the way, Christian Roldan, sitting next to him there, did speak at one point in that press conference. But
it's going to be interesting to see who's in midfield because let's remember that Tyler Adams got injured and he was sent back, so he's not going to be there. Gio Reyna is there. So although he's been playing very little for Borussia Mönchengladbach, mostly coming off the bench, it's a good move, I think, by Mauricio Pochettino to bring him in and get to meet him, get to know him personally, get to see his habits, get to see how he works, how he practices, how he acts, all of that. So, and what I like about it, aside from all of that, is that if Gio Reyna, let's say, starts, which is there's a chance, because if you look at who's in midfield, I think there's a chance that he might start there, especially with Christian Pulisic not being here. If he has a good game, it just may change how Borussia Mönchengladbach looks at him, and maybe gives him. He started the first game of the year along with Joe Scally, and then I got smoked for nothing. And then ever since that, he's been on the bench, and he's been coming off the bench and getting, 15, 20, 5 minutes here and there. So if he can have a good game for the U.S. national team, maybe that jump starts his club career again, and all these things snowball in a positive direction for Gio Reyna. But I still remember 2 weeks ago, we were talking about this, Glenn, where Gio Reyna was still trying to make excuses for what the hell happened in Qatar. And like, dude, it's on you. Don't blame it on anybody else. It's on you. Even if it isn't on you, it's on you.
All right.
That's the way that works, right? When you're a quarterback of a team in the NFL, when the offense works, the credit goes to everybody else on the offense. The offensive line protected. They ran the ball really well. The wide receivers were on point. They were great. When you lose, that was my fault. I could have made more plays. That's what he's got to learn. That mentality he's got to learn. And until he does, he's never going to fully develop as a player. He will always be owing. He's got to learn.
Okay, well, this is part of why Pochettino wanted to bring him in, I'm sure, is, as you said, to get to – well, Pochettino has said that. He wants to get to know him better. And what an interesting question was asked in the presser today. There was a Mauricio Pochettino presser, and Henry Bushnell, give him credit, they've called Pochettino called in Sebastian Berhalter, and the way Bushnell asked the question, it went something like this: are you aware of the family issues between those two families that emerged at the World Cup in 2022, and is it something that you thought you should deal with? Pochettino kind of played coy with it. He has not dealt with it directly. The only thing he said in relation to it is that the team is in a good place. People have come in from the outside and they said, wow, what a very close-knit unit you have. And he said he observed those two players interacting and he didn't think there was anything that was uncomfortable about it. So that was his answer there. Another interesting thing Pochettino said, the following. So he's got Haji Wright, Balogun, and Pepe. So he's got 3 strikers in this camp, 26 players. His exact quote was, you need 3 strikers in the 26. He's talking about the World Cup. I think it's going to be these 3 guys.
Yeah, right now it has to be those 3. Pepe continues to score goals coming off the bench. He's behind Till now on PSV. But every time he comes into the game, he finds the back of the net. He's at his goal per minute ratio, and I don't have it in front of me. It's got to be off the freaking charts. This is a guy who has a great nose for goal and is able to find the back of the net. Right now, I think that the way the depth works is Balogun is number 1. Pepe and Haji Wright are going to be trying to impress to see who goes number 2. And you never know how that might change between now and the beginning of the World Cup.
Well, the thing he said is that you never know how these games go, what you need in terms of goal scoring. And Haji Wright has played in wide positions also in his career. He's very comfortable away from the center of the park as well. So very good. He also expressed, that is Pochettino, that it's going to be nice to see Bielsa, who he played for, who's the coach at Uruguay when they play next Tuesday down in Tampa. So that was just
and he's a mentor. He's a follower of the Bielsa philosophy, but he doesn't use it 100%. But he learned under it, and now he put his own spin on it.
He did. He's his own man, as Guillaume Balaguer told me, who did a book about Pochettino. When I asked him about how much influence Bielsa had. Obviously, there was influence, but doesn't attack things the same way, just like you said. Hey, I wanted to make one more point because we had this discussion at Charlotte before the game. It was right before the game, right before we were leaving the game. And it was about the possibility of Charlotte advancing to the Eastern Conference Semifinals without scoring a goal. This is before game 3.
Yeah.
Without scoring a goal and without winning a game. So if
Yes,
it ended
in 90 minutes.
If
Yes.
it ended 0-0 and Charlotte advanced on penalties in game 3, that would have been the nightmare scenario for MLS. Well, the nightmare scenario came up anyway. Minnesota 3, Seattle 3. Minnesota advanced without winning any of their 3 games in regulation.
Yes.
Seattle had 1 win and 2 ties. Hence, the playoff format will change. I guarantee. You want to make a bet on this one?
No, they revisit this every year. But here's where this differs from the scenario that you and I were talking about. Okay, there was a chance that Charlotte, if they got shut out, right, that was a real scenario, that they wouldn't score a goal and still advance.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah,
but your opponent being 1 win and 2 draws, and you being 3 draws. Obviously, Seattle had more aggregate. There you go.
I don't feel sorry for Seattle, by the way. And the reason I don't feel sorry for them is because they played a man up from just the end of the first half all the way through the second half. They had a 2-1 lead, and they blew the lead, and they had to tie it and stop its time to force penalty kicks. So I don't hats off to Minnesota.
All right. It's not about feeling sorry. It's about a flawed format. And here we go again. Wilfred Nancy. We all love Wilfred. So in his, he had a wrap-up press conference for the season after getting eliminated by Cincinnati, and he is not a fan of the 3 games because, as he put it, how did we not advance? We outscored them 5-3
because those weren't the rules. He knew the rules. He's the rules.
No, he's not saying it that he didn't know the rules. He's saying it that it's ridiculous, which it is.
It's not. It's the same thing. It's fine. You win your. Do you think it's ridiculous when you're watching the Stanley Cup and somebody wins 3 games by 5 goals and they lose 4 games by 1?
No, it happened in the 1960 World Series. The Yankees outscored Pittsburgh by like 100 runs and lost 4 games to 3.
It happens.
Yeah, but I get his point, and I'm sure you get his point.
I get his point, but I don't agree with it. It's like don't make excuses.
It wasn't the series. He took. I'm taking it out of context. He wasn't complaining about the fact that they lost the series to a team that played better than them in the final, game 3. He's just saying he doesn't like the format because they outscored them, which is a format he's a little bit more used to. So we'll see what happens. What do you think? What do you think will be used? What's the next stage? What is that?
No, that's why. Well, hold on. Don't even go there.
I'm not, but
he took it off. Oh no, it's still there. I don't know. We'll
that's all right. I didn't say anything. We saw something in our comments. Whoever put that in there, you need to back that up and put a link.
Sources on that.
You need to put like a link in there or something. We are not saying that. We are not saying that. So just understand. I don't know who that is, but
I don't know, Ron, but I'm looking now on Twitter because we can't go off the air now without confirming that somehow.
What I'm suspicious on is the time frame of. All right, go on to the Costa Rican press, Roberto, and I'll vamp a little bit more here while you're looking, because I have a bunch of other things that I wanted.
Oh no! So Kevin Jimenez. Oh God! All right, we are going to say this then, okay? Because there's a report by Kevin Jimenez.
All right, but is it confirmed, Roberto?
I'm telling you what. Let me read what he says. Hold on.
And who is he? Tell us who he is.
So Kevin Jimenez is a reporter from Costa Rica. He's got 49,000, almost 50,000 followers. And he is saying that Alonso Martínez, now this is a report, so we're not verifying this. We're just telling you what the report is, okay? Kevin Jimenez is saying that the worst of the results came out for Alonso Martínez, that he has an ACL and meniscus rupture. He will be operated and he will be out for, he says 8 to 9 months, but that could be more than that. So the same guy who reported that he was injured is now reporting that, and this is 12 minutes ago, he is reporting that the results are out and that he is injured and he will be out. We're obviously going to have to wait for confirmation from New York City FC or
the Costa Rican Federation, because
the Costa Rican Federation. But if this turns out to be true, oh my goodness, it's terrible for him. New York City already lost Perea with a horrific injury in the game in Charlotte, and now to lose Alonso Martínez would be
I want to make a very important point, and I am telling you, I'm going to really dig in on this, Roberto. When I turned that game on and I started seeing the camera pan, okay, and I'm talking about the Haiti-Costa Rica match, I'm going, oh my God, I recognize that stadium. Remember when I helped Stern John with St. Lucia in the Nations League?
Yeah.
So I went down, and their matches were played in Curacao, and they were all played in that stadium. That turf, that is artificial turf. It is terrible turf. And if you watch the game, you could tell the way the ball responded. I mean, it was like concrete underneath the turf. It was very poor. Now, look, for me to sit here and say that he suffered a knee injury because of that turf, I can't be 100% certain. However, to play on a surface like that in a World Cup qualifier, and one of the reasons they were there is because Haiti is not allowed to play at home. To be honest, I don't know what Haiti's facility is like, so I don't want to speak to that. But you might have watched the game last night and it looked like a pristine surface. Let me tell you, I was on that field for 2 training sessions and 2 games and walking on it. My knees were sore walking out onto the field and walking back to the bench area. So this is a disaster if true. And it's a disaster that they were playing a game of that ilk, and that was a very physical game, Roberto, as you can imagine, because of the stakes in that game, and on this terrible, terrible turf at the Curacao Stadium. Anyway, I'm beside myself thinking.
I'm like at a loss right now. So I'm trying to. I've written PR, see if they have anything to say, which they probably won't. I'm looking to see on New York City socials if there's anything out there, but no.
Well, let's close it up, Roberto. I know we're trying to wait to see get confirmation, but just one more time, just for clarity as to who reported it. What is the publication he's reporting it from?
He doesn't say the publication that he works for, but he's a very well-known reporter. John Rojas follows him as well, and he's been texting me throughout all of this, and he's reporting that he's injured. He has an ACL injury and a meniscus injury, and that it's a rupture. So that's the reporting that is coming out of Costa Rica after the game last night in Curacao. Again, this has not been confirmed by either the Costa Rican Federation or New York City FC.
And he played 90 minutes.
Yeah, and we don't know when that happened, right? We don't know when, you can play on adrenaline and things like that. So I've seen that happen.
The way he stumbled, I wonder if it was when he got that shot off, because I'm telling you, he was fouled in the area, kept his balance, and was unbalanced when he tried to swivel the hips and get the shot off, which he did, and forced a save by the keeper, which was from I watched about 60 minutes of the game, so I can't say what happened in the last half hour. Yeah, so we're not sure.
And by the way, to Corey Clayton, none of this is confirmed, Corey. You can't say that he's out. We don't know this. He put something on on Twitter, and there's no confirmation of any of this. It's a report at this point. We cannot say he's out. So, everything is being qualified until we get any sort of official information. It's not proper. Sorry, if you can take that down, I'd appreciate it, and reword it, because that's not what we're saying, especially if you have our photo up there. So that is not what we're saying.
No. Yeah, and that's very important. It's also very important to tag that with a respected journalist in Costa Rica is the one that filed this report.
Yeah, Kevin Jimenez.
And so it is likely to be trusted, but you have to receive confirmation from the representatives on one side or the other before you can go public with certainty on it. So,
and let's thank Ron for alerting us to this. And just horrific news if it turns out to be true. So, all
right.
Wow, that is a huge loss for New York City, no doubt, and a huge loss for the Costa Rican national team that depends on Martínez and has a lot riding on their last game.
Yeah. But especially, I suppose, for Alonso himself, this wonderful personality on the team. We've charted his course as a young boy to the point that he's at New York City now, growing up on this small island, taking a boat to school and training eventually as he moved up the ladder professionally. And it's a guy who's very humble, got a lot of humility,
Oh, he's such a nice guy.
And
sweet, such a good guy.
Yeah,
and I want to credit also Misael because he was the first one who alerted. I didn't see it, but he's the first one who alerted us to this, and we're hoping for any sort of confirmation, and better yet, we're hoping for confirmation that it's not that severe. But we'll see what happens.
All right,
but it's a risk you take for playing World Cup games. I mean, it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, well, hey, now put it more in more clear terms. Now, this could have happened in any of the windows if MLS was in the FIFA calendar, but here you go. Here are games played during the MLS Cup playoff. This is like such a stark reason why the calendar needed to be changed. First of all, the lack of enthusiasm that has lost it. How about the number of days that like Vancouver and LAFC? These guys haven't played since last year, it seems. But it's a 2-week break for them. It's a 2-week break which causes a stop in momentum in the playoffs. And you've got guys going to play World Cup qualifiers in that sort of intensity while your team's in the playoffs. I'm so happy that I wish it could be changed next year, but nonetheless, the calendar will change in 27. Another part of this too, Roberto, just from a preparation for Philadelphia standpoint. Let's say Pascal wants to put Kevin O'Toole in the midfield, like my lineup, along with Johnny Shore. Don't you think he'd want them knocking the ball around with each other for a couple of weeks before that game?
No, of course.
And so it really it takes away from your preparation in many ways. So Alonso, all the best, you and your family, the New York City FC family, staff, teammates who are going to be devastated by this, if indeed it is true. And look, he's alive. He'll rehab to the extent he needs to, and he'll be back with a smile. But that's what we have, a report out of Costa Rica that Alonso Martínez has a torn ACL from a match last night with Costa Rica.
And meniscus.
It could add to the recovery time as well. All right, Roberto, let's get out of here and follow our social channels. If we find out more and can put something up in a more definitive way, we will. And but for now, Shane, thanks for producing this and going a little overtime as we look to get the information out. And for Roberto, I'm Glenn. We'll talk to you again next week on NYCFC Views Live.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.